Hey, how's it going? So, I've got some lead equipment to stop direct energy weapon fire and internal organ damage, which has been a consistent, unfortunate part of my torture of the remote torture crews that do this to people. I've had wounds like infections that have been doled out to me, a program that has been termed Thousand Needles that makes you feel sensation of um, needles through your skin, um, attacks on my thinking. As I've explained, that's been more or less consistent for 15 years, every 15 to 20 seconds. Neurolinguistic programming often. I'm the target individual, the target audience, community slander, um, EMF beings faking the appearance of people that they aren't, and 5,000 out of the forces involved in this domestically that have attacked myself and my family at varying degrees of intensity. Um, my life is a living hell. Like 12 hours a day, 14, maybe 16, depending on my sleep schedule, and then no consciousness. But the human toll, besides myself, is something that should not be ignored, but perps would have you believe I'm the only TI in the world. They don't do this to any other person. This is an exception or some shit like that. Um, it's very weaponized. It's systematic. It's done. It's words are said knowing how statistically people react to it, and problem reaction solution. Beware few word explanations for any of this shit. And some of the projects that have been thrown at me that I'm like vaguely consciously aware of, some talk about Project Phoenix, Project Mockingbird, um, attempts to like child endangerment, but faked people, EMF perpetrators faking young people and then like approaching me inappropriately and repeated child endangerment. So Project Monarch attempts on me. There could be 137 separate mind control projects that the CIA had endeavored on. Electromagnetic terrorism like this against the mind and bodies, but capabilities of it has been around since the 20s. I think they've probably been making TI since the 20s, and faking people. That technology is probably going to be pretty old. Around the clock, in shifts, on payroll, committing war crimes that never go prosecuted, um, destroying people's lives, their families, breaking into their homes, poisoning them, telling lies to girlfriends or wives, making them give up their kids, destroying life's work, intimidating lines of support, decapturing whole facilities, no matter the size, at least in my experience. Talk about scalable. EMF perpetrators to follow me wherever I go. As Kevin Christian describes, like, you could be laying in the Pacific Ocean, flat out on your back, and they'd still be able to broadcast you, perpetrators that had found you and wanted to torture you to death or whatever their wicked interest is in seeing your demise. So here I sit. Auburn is down by some points here in the first half of the Oregon Ducks football game, and I'm a tortured TI. I'm like fucking handled and shit. I have like special things that I'm good at, like maybe 5 things, like in the world. Like, you're not better at that shit than me, or would have been if I was allowed a normal life course. instead of getting tortured for 15 years. Not really allowed to think big. My country, very institutions I used to rely on weaponized against me. Hospitals are a little different for a TI or a psych ward. When did me getting a fucking milkshake become a matter of national security? Like some shit that went down when I was popping through places in LA, whole place deep captured before I can get in there. Britney Spears doesn't want to be handled. I'm glad she went back to her roots. I think she was from the South, maybe, like before Hollywood got a hold of that. Poor dear, talented and cute. Where have I seen that before? So, yeah, in about 5 things, I'm really good at it, but I'm a specialist, and people know interesting stuff that you can talk to if you're not a TI. Some of the things I enjoyed the most before becoming a TI was polite chit chat with people you live with, and they're around like neighborhoods, like bars or whatnot, or and I lose out a lot of that personal contact. My Maslow's hierarchy of needs systematically destroyed, satanic science applied to my very human form. Denied life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Outmatched by the full force of the federal government. Do I look like some kind of happy elf? Because I hear extra low frequencies that make me want to fucking die sometimes. Merry Christmas. Doesn't the small little bit of aluminum foil look just like a pathetic gesture at shielding? McAfee's got a better freedom barracks than I do. And maybe would I look like a double mint gum commercial to you? Code dogs, I'm wearing green. So it looks like my team is starting out the season, and we can run. And our quarterback was loyal. And we're making a contention for respect to the Pac-12 and maybe some of those other conferences, and then ultimately, slot in those 4 teams that meet in our relatively newly structured national championship for college athletics, which is nice. Bowls are cool too, but we won our national championship, and Coach Cristobal is on a 5-year contract, if I'm not mistaken, with performance-based pay increase. He's done just a supreme, excellent, phenomenal job in recruiting in the off-season, and loyalty. So that's something that gets screwed up for me at speed of thought, and I get tricked into saying things I don't mean out of trauma-based mind control. And yes, I'm your double mint gum. I really wanted you to go to college. And it gets real complicated with the synthetic telepathy things, because these peeps with this gear think they can just sit passed out on those machines like Kevin Christian describes and have a master's level dissertation from a college guy at the same time, like in so many ways sucking the life force out of me. Just so getting punished for what I wanted for others in teaching through broadcasting. Now on my Instagram, there's a picture of a small African American guy, child, minor, and he's got like a barcode on his face, and it's talking about perps and broadcasting. So I'm a TI. I've been broadcast by perps for 15 years. I thought most of the time it was only mental illness. I'm a master's level educated public administration wonk, and I lost protection from these synthetic telepathy structures 15 years ago in a dorm that looks maybe a little more creamy mint green than my hood. I forgot the name of it. I just posted on Instagram too. I think it was East Hall or something. It's a dorm for graduate students, I think, by the new Knight basketball arena, which was like a bread factory when I was going there. And I don't want to take it personal. I want to be professional. It's not about how I got on the TI list or who did. It's that I'm still on it, and so is my family. So as I post this video, my Ducks are in the process of winning or losing an opening game against a national title contender from some years ago. Oregon may be up 18 spots in a year for 250th university in the world. Dre can't make those kind of donations. If that's not fake news, like, I'm one of the happiest Ducks in the world. And that was what was important to me and my family. One of my modifications when I, renamed myself later in life to try to get away from gang stalking, which didn't stop when I changed my name, education. Jeff Ed Taylor, BS MPA. And so even being a very smart person in this way with synthetic telepathy, mind control addicts, reading your thoughts as you're having them, and then the full force of the federal government backing them, even a very exceptionally smart person in about 4 or 5 areas, even I can be made a fool by these non-bodied consciousnesses that are real people passed out in other locations. So, Merry Christmas, University of Oregon. It was a pleasure going to college in my youth there and serving in leadership capacities. I way underestimated the intelligence communities and this war in the Middle East and psychopathy and stuff. But I really do love you, and I love the state of Oregon, and the United States may have turned their back on me in some ways, but I'm still an American first. So there's a lot of other TIs in other countries that are abused like I am by these systems, and it's international. And if I was laying on a raft in the Pacific, these elements, people with these capabilities could still be broadcasting me. And that's what I really want, is my broadcast to end. Not dead dogs in Redmond, not EMF perpetrators showing up at women I don't know at Seaside, like, well, when's your birthday? Like, I get played for the fool with this technology so much, and I want my Constitution and my Bill of Rights back, and that would require somebody from Central Command or something that I can't control myself as one TI. They'd be like, nope, like tears of a psychopath. We can't be plugging the ducks no more. You gotta lay up off these war crimes. And I just don't have that capability to do that myself. So, I want to live about 20 or 30 more years, and then I plan on skedaddling. There's lots of debate about moments of death and this and that by other people that aren't getting broadcast and their consciousness poisoned, that may know as much or better than I. I'm a Buddhist. I don't mean to be particularly prickly pear offensive, but I get tortured every day, and it's not right. It's not just. This information warfare, speed of thought thing, I'm so outmatched by. It's much more than it appears. So, there's a little lead vest here. And then I have a lead cap too. So I'm a University of Oregon Double Duck board member emeritus of the Oregon University system, and I'm a POW. I want my broadcast to end for myself and probably too many other Americans that didn't deserve to be treated this way, and I feel powerless to stop it. So picking battles and what was, what is, what will be is an extremely difficult task at me, because I can't really think for myself, because every 15 to 20 seconds I'm getting interrupted by perpetrators passed out on those machines at other locations. My life is a living hell, not an overstatement of the term. I'm driven crazy, but it's totally done to me. And want to be free from the synthetic telepathy agenda in my country and internationally. And it's Pollyannish, it's pie in the sky at this point. It seems like a far off goal that just won't happen. So I'm prepared to endure maybe 20, 30 years later, grow out facial hair down to like my belly button, and then call it the Charlemagne, because I think ironically for all these setups of life circumstance, that's one of my ancestors, along with a select group of men primarily that grace the leadership halls of the White House. So I'm going to call it the Charlemagne when I grow it out. So gotta have goals. I want to be an elder class member. I'm 40. For much of my life, even prior to becoming a TI, I didn't think I'd live to 40. So indigo, maybe type-ish dude, and they kill us in our youth. So no longer young, and my middle name is Ed for education, because that's what I renamed myself later in life after striving for excellence in education for myself and my community. Extremely rare credentials, and had the balls to do it. So here I am, contrived crises, false flags, torture, and I still love you, Oregon and United States, even if I say mean shit every once in a while I'm tricked into. So peace.